John Cartwright goes, I said, oh, mate, it's a bit sore. And he goes, if you hold your nose...
Oh, don't.
If you hold your nose and blow, and my whole head just went...
Oh, no.
I just love listening to those old stories. That
Absolutely.
story Freddy tells me, every time I think about it, I get goosebumps.
Jack Gibson always said, he wondered why everyone cheered for the underdog. He said, it's so much harder being at the top.
This is the maddest place on the planet.
Dancing.
The only show where you're allowed to do it without shoes on.
Andrew Johns, one of the greatest players of all time.
Cuddles and kisses go a long way, especially when you're in trouble.
Oh, the horse has bolted. Look at the big fellow go in.
Imagine if he wanted to fire. They're very horny and very aggressive.
Are we allowed to put that to wear?
Sydney, stay classy.
I love everyone for making me feel this good.
Welcome to Freddy and the Eighth. Great to be back and great to be brought to you by our friends at the Tab. So much to talk about today. Ivan Cleary firing up his troops in the media. Is there some salary cap trouble at Newcastle? We'll have a look at the teams who are out of finals contention. Are they on the verge of a turnaround for next year? And the man we are calling the producer, Wildwater Sports answer to Baz Luhrmann, has a new segment. Andrew Johns, Brad Fittler, welcome.
Thank you.
Your new segment.
Yep.
What have you come up with?
So I love nothing more than sitting to either older coaches or older players and talking about past legends. Mm-hmm. Today we're going to do Wally Lewis. You played against the King.
Played against King.
So I've got a couple of stories, one from Fatty, which every time I hear it I get goosebumps, and one's from Wayne Bennett. What triggered it, I was with Paul Harrigan on Friday. There was a Mark Hughes Foundation program down. Anyway, I talked about the King, and he said his first year chief... Oh, I'm giving it away. Anyway, first year...
That's a teaser.
Playing in the centres, might have been up there, you know, chiefs like that. He said Wally hit him. He never been hit so hard.
Hmm. What about that test match where he smashed Darryl Williams?
Yeah.
And he thought it was Brendan Tudor, didn't he? He got the wrong bloke.
He used to do it all the time.
Yeah.
Like
So we've got
torpedo.
stories about the King.
Very good.
So send in your social medias, someone we want to talk about, a past player.
Okay.
Nice work.
Yeah.
Very nice work. Andrew scathing of Nathan Cleary being supported by Mary Fowler last week.
By his girlfriend, Johns left hospital this morning, pleased to be back on 2 feet. The Newcastle playmaker punctured his lung during Saturday's win over Norths. Johns was admitted to Lake Macquarie Private Hospital on Monday for an operation, but doctors have given him the all-clear to play Manly.
Yeah, no problem. I'll come back tomorrow and do a few tests, but just another X-ray and the lung's fully inflated, so I'll be right. I can't wait. It's going to be great. But looking forward to the party too.
So,
It's Renee's
having
looking
your hand
dynamite
held.
there.
Yeah.
I was batting serious overs. She's a big fan of the show.
Yeah, I bet you.
Hey, Renee.
is she a big fan of you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah, very good.
Great friends.
Excellent. Yes, so Nathan and Mary are at the hospital, and I've seen Mary...
They were holding hands.
yeah.
I wasn't holding
Actually, I
hands.
think you even nudged her out of the road at one stage.
You just gave her a fend.
Here it is.
This is very sweet.
Yeah.
So nice.
Young love is just new love.
Yeah.
New love and young love. Is there any... What is going on Nathan's jumper? Is that a panda bear?
Well, he looks like a big cuddly panda, doesn't he?
Actually, we've got to get Nathan and talk to him about his Mo Sislak hair. This permy looking
He
thing
might just have some bad hairline.
with the comb down. Mate, all the young kids now have got the same haircut. That, what is it? Lloyd Christmas.
He was very shaved around the sides.
I don't like his porno mo. In fact, the porno mo thing's got to go.
Well, if you have a look, he's actually, it's not hurting him. So maybe we should be taking tips off Nathan.
Yeah, but porno
Fletcher Sharp's moustache, and the other one, Heath Mason.
Oh, yeah.
At the Tigers. Honestly, put a bit of milk there, the cat would lick it off. It is nothing but fluff.
I don't think that's a panda. That looks like some kind of flower. On the subject of fashion, and I'm pleased you've turned up on point today, Andrew, with your hair, because the biggest story in the world this week, the reformation of Oasis.
Oh, yes.
How good.
Well, Liam's run out of money. Like the guy that I
have something
played,
to do with
who
it.
owned Warrington Wolves, Simon Moran, he's part of putting them back together.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Right.
So I was texting him during the week about it, and he said, yeah, Liam's run out. I wonder what Liam spent all his money on. I just
Investments?
wonder.
That was the great George Best, the great soccer player who spent... I spent my money on hookers and alcohol and wasted the rest.
Georgie.
What you wouldn't give to be at Wembley Stadium for Oasis' first concert in 20 years?
Someone might be going.
When is it?
Don't give too much
What's the
away.
attraction? What's the Oasis attraction?
Oh,
One
mate,
of the
just
greatest
getting
rock bands
there,
ever.
singing, shirt off. I remember the old tablecloth shirts I used to wear. Mate, they were the best. The best.
So I've saw a couple of photos. We'll put them up here on screen. But Noel Gallagher has very, very, very small feet. Have you noticed how small his feet are?
No.
What?
Like the smallest, abnormally small feet.
Little pig's trotters.
Yeah.
Random?
Well, they're odd. They're an odd combination. So there you go,
Who's the lunatic? Which one's the lunatic?
That's Liam.
Liam.
Oh,
The
they're not
size of his feet.
That's not his feet.
It'll be up on screen here.
They are pig's trotters.
That's a bad
It's
angle.
embarrassing, isn't
It's
it?
a bad angle. So, there's an angle problem.
It's terrible. And then to just to sum up the great dynamic between the brothers. So Noel tweeted, and clearly the PR team has done it. Ask me any questions you like, from the last 10 years. And Liam wrote back, how come you're such a big C?
Oh, he's the best.
Oh, too good, too good. So that takes us into our list of Mad Brothers segment for this week on Freddy the Eighth. Now, the Johnses are right up there.
Right.
So, well, I don't know about William and Harry. I'd beg to differ that they're mad. Are they mad?
They're not mad.
What about William's hair? Like, honestly, that's 1982. Everyone shaves it now. Look at the mudguard he's got.
Yeah.
And the other bloke, Harry, he's...
What was the number 5 wacky races? Professor Pat Pendy? He had the hair like that.
Ben Affleck, Casey Affleck.
Yeah,
He's a good actor, Casey Affleck. I like him.
I don't know any of his work.
He was in a show called Manchester by the Sea.
Right.
It is a cracking movie.
He's in a few of the...
It's based in Boston, where where Good Will Hunting. He was in Good Will Hunting.
Oh, I know Ben. I don't know.
No, Casey Affleck
was.
Oh, was he?
He's in Good Will
He
Hunting.
was a bloke in the back of the car that he threw the burger to.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
He said, "Fries me a burger." He said, "Yeah, we'll give us 20 cents. We'll give us some money."
That's favourite show.
It's a great show.
The best.
The late Robin
I saw him the other day.
Skylar. What's
Matt Damon got off a plane and there was a bloke taking photos with the crew. And I sort of looked and I didn't really recognise who it was. And I just kept walking. And the bloke who I was with walked next to him was Matt Damon.
Where's this at?
We're coming from the Gold Coast down.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Should have asked if he's a fan of Freddy the Eighth.
Has he been out all night?
I just missed. I missed him.
Do you reckon Matt's been out all night up at... What's the...
All right. Oh, the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
No,
Some of those
the
flights,
casino.
some of those flights.
No, he had
are
his
from the
family there.
Goldie.
Had his family.
What's
there.
he doing in Australia? Is he filming
I think he
something?
lives up there. He spends heaps of time up like around Byron or
Up
somewhere.
in the hinterland.
Yeah.
Him and Chris Hemsworth.
I think they're mates, aren't they?
Did you see
imagine
Chris
they would be.
Hemsworth drum? So you know that Limitless show he did?
No.
So he goes along and just tests himself in all different areas. It was pretty cool. He did some ice, cold water stuff, but he learned to play the drums. And 70,000 people for Ed Sheeran.
What do you want to play the drums?
Play the drums for one of the songs.
In front of 70,000. Wow.
Act.
Shirt off?
No.
And he was good?
Yeah. Well, I don't think it was that hard what he was drumming to, but
I'm not sure he's bad at anything, Chris Hemsworth. Ivan Cleary. Normally understated, you'd say, in his media performances. Maybe not so much this week. A little bit of a rev up for the Panthers.
I totally believe we can win it, but we have to make a decision on whether we're prepared to, pay that price to win it. And at the moment, there would probably be a question mark around that.
That's certainly aimed at his playing group, no doubt.
I saw a thing the other day. There is a lookalike of Ivan Cleary, and there's a guy, a former pro surfer called Buzzy Kerbox. It's actually Ivan.
What's his name?
Buzzy Kerbox. Anyway, next week we're going to put it up. People at home, Google Buzzy Kerbox, and it looks exactly... Have a look.
It'll be up on screen right now. This is the... Show me.
that's pretty good.
It's good.
It does a bit, doesn't it?
It's a
In
mix
few-
between Buzzy
in a few
Kerbox
years'
and
time.
Millhouse.
Well, you know what?
Will you be interviewing Ivan, though,
I
this
am.
week?
I
Right.
am,
Can you
actually.
call him Buzzy?
He'd know who Buzzy Kerbox was.
No, because no one will know what I'm talking about.
Do they need a rev up? They don't often lose
Yes.
2 in a row.
Yes.
You reckon they need a rev up?
Well, they need to work out whether they want to win, and they're not going to win it the way they're going at the moment. That's what Ivan's saying. I think it's obvious. There's just not enough of them that are.
Doesn't that look like him?
And you've got new players. They've got a lot of new players at the moment too. Obviously, you know they lost a lot. They lost a few over the off season. They've lost some through the year. Injuries. So what we saw on the weekend's Canberra was far from the team you'll see in the semi-finals. I feel. I think Taruva needed a shake-up.
He's back this week, isn't he?
And he went through 2 years without making an error. And then all of a sudden, you know, it's hard staying at the top. It's hard to be at the top for that long.
The thing about Penrith is, and they know this themselves, if they can they'll be in the 4. If they can get to the finals and they can be healthy, of course they can
Yeah, but
win.
they're playing pretty hungry teams this year.
Of course.
All of a sudden, it was
But
funny,
there's no
you know,
panic in the
Jack
camp.
Gibson always said, he wondered why everyone cheered for the underdog. He said, it's so much harder being at the top. Well, everyone's the underdog. It's quite easy being the underdog, finding that hunger and fight.
Do you reckon Nathan will play next week?
Well, it depends if they need it to happen.
It's Titans at home, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, it'd be
Their
interesting.
last game.
Canterbury got a couple of interesting games. So Canterbury got Melbourne this week, and then they got
Canterbury got Manly this week.
Manly this week, and then they've got a tricky
North
game
Queensland.
next, North Queensland. So that's the if Canterbury win their game this week, then I think it will force their hand.
So you're looking at Bulldogs. So they're going to play a really tough game this week against Manly. Tough game next week against Cowboys. Then to win it, you got to win 4 in a row. It's a big ask.
Yeah, huge.
Big ask.
All right, Penrith South this week. That's a fast backline, that South Sydney backline. Fast. Munro and Gray and
You trying to sell this?
Friday night.
Well,
Well,
unless
it's
you
Friday night footy, of course I'm trying to sell it. Live and free on night.
Unless your forwards go forward, you can have Ben Johnson and Carl Lewis on the edges. They won't get the ball.
Don't think Ben Johnson will pass the drugs test, unfortunately.
Tyrone Munro, fullback, that'll be good.
That'll be good.
Look forward to watching that. You can even see on the wing he wasn't getting
You
much
stood
good ball.
next to him. He looks tall.
Tall.
What, 6'3"?
Walker's back too, of course. A new podcast out next Monday, Marley and Me. Marley Silver chatting with some of the biggest names in rugby league. Here's a sneak peek of episode 1.
There's a story behind every instinct, every leap of faith, and every heartbreaking moment. These are real athletes and real stories.
The way I reacted after it was what I was most disappointed about. And it took me to a place where I wasn't even totally honest with my parents.
How old were you when your brother passed away?
I was 7. It's the reason why this family's so close.
Family, culture, and future define who they are.
It's really nice to hear that they're really proud of me. Probably the main reason why I play is my whole family.
Join me on this journey to discover what makes our greats the greatest.
I'm here talking about family, culture.
About my journey and my story.
This is Marley and Me.
The new podcast is available on 9 Now and wherever you get your podcasts.
Look forward to listening to that.
Is that a movie about
A dog.
Yeah, Marley and Me. Yeah.
And Nathan's dog
If you
is
can
in
watch
his episode
that and not cry, you've got
I
problems.
watched Forrest Gump the other night and started crying.
That's a good show.
Yeah. Especially when Bubba was like this.
I don't do
Like,
well.
he looked like he's
I like Lieutenant Dan's when he jumps off throws himself off the boat.
I haven't watched that for a while. I might have to
Oh,
brush
mate,
up.
it's a great
I
show.
watched it recently too. It's awesome.
I don't go for those dog dying movies though. That's too hard.
Marley and Me's
Yeah.
it's hard.
What about the one? There was
Especially
the one,
watching them on a Monday after a big weekend.
there's the one where the
I
guy.
watched Play School on a Monday and start crying. What was the one where he's hurry up, blackboard? What was the one with the pencil on his nose? What was
Oh,
Squiggle.
Mr. Squiggle.
Miss Squiggle, the cranky blackboard. He used to make me cry. Anyway.
Newcastle struggling with the salary cap, it would seem. So, now which of the Saifidis thinks he's going to the Dolphins?
Daniel.
Is it Daniel? Seeing the Saifidis break up, wouldn't have thought that would happen. But do they need a tweak in their roster somewhere there?
Well,
they haven't
have
had any consistency of combination, particularly in the halves this year, have they?
None. I think they need some zip out of dummy half. They need someone with speed out of dummy half. If you're going to keep Jaden Brayley, then you need the Badira swing. You need someone gets out of dummy half off the bench. Newcastle is no real threat.
I like Phoenix. Well, he's a good dummy half.
Yeah, so do I. But they've got him playing. I think he's playing well at halfback. At the moment, he's the best halfback in the club. I'm still a fan of Will Price, as we all know. This young bloke's lit it up. Fletcher Sharp.
Well, that's going to be a problem because, if they say Fletcher Sharp wants to be a fullback or is a fullback, I don't know what he wants. He doesn't look like he cares. He loves playing.
Loves playing, but fullback's his spot.
It's keeping those young blokes. If you've still got Safidi and all those blokes on big money, and you're not winning, and then you're losing the Fletcher Sharps and Dylan Lucases and all these type of players, that's the problem.
So they go back to training. Let's just say November 5. Get back. Adam just goes, this is our 7 and 6. Next year we're going to lock it in, and you're going to train all off season together. Time on the paddock.
That would have had Jackson Hastings, and who would have been 5'8" Tyson? Would that have been in his mind?
That's who started.
That's who started.
Could Tyson Gamble play 9?
No.
Quick enough.
Where do you find?
I think he could play 13, Tyson.
Yeah. They've got too many halves there.
Yeah, they have. If you look at the top 3 teams, Penrith, Nathan, Jerome, Dylan Edwards, time spent together at training on the paddock. Roosters, Sam Walker, Keary, Tedesco, spent a lot of footy together. Melbourne, Munster, Hughes, Pappenhausen, Harry Grant. They would have played together as a group up to 100 games together.
That's success. Success helps that.
That's what I mean.
It's about finding
the right players
and backing people,
and putting them in there,
being patient sometimes. So if you look at the Tigers, you got to think Galvin. Whether Mason, whether he's part of your future plans.
So then you got Buller. Next year you got Buller, Galvin, Jerome, Appy.
That's a hell of a spine.
They're just on the field all off season, just training together, playing together for the next couple of years. It's really exciting times for the Tigers. Really exciting times. And the way to get out of the problem is for the bottom teams, say the bottom 4 or 5 teams, to get off the bottom, they have to get, say, a marquee player. Say like a Kalen. The Knights got Kalen a few years ago.
Well, Jerome Luai.
That was a massive, massive buy. So Jerome Luai. But the other way out is to build through juniors, and the Tigers have done that. I would have loved to see them kept Stefano, but anyway, they haven't. But they've got to keep all those young kids coming through. Latu Finus, Samuela Finu.
That Samuela Finu is a seriously good player.
Hey, they've got some good players.
Yeah.
Just keep them all. Let them play together for a while, watch the improvement.
Many coming through at Newcastle?
I don't really know. I don't. Silver on the weekend, he looked a player.
They had a pretty good S2 ball team.
They got a high hopes.
S2 ball team.
There's a young front row. Is it Hopgood or something?
Yeah, there's a Hopgood coming through.
There's a young front row they got high hopes for. I don't really know.
Did the run at the end of last year, as breathtaking as it was, paper over some issues at Newcastle?
I don't think so. I think they just had stability. That time they didn't have many injuries. I think pretty much the starting 17 played together for all that.
But they had to win 10 to get to 7th or 8th, didn't they?
They finished.
Oh, no, they've had a home final. They
fifth.
finished 5th. But they had to win 10 to get there.
I think they still make it. They've got 2 home games at home. They've got the Titans this week. They've got the Dolphins next week. Next week's Old Boys Day. Bradman Best is back. I know they're missing the back row.
So Brisbane or the Dolphins this week, one of them falls out.
Yeah.
And
well, if the Dragons win their last 2, they're in.
Yeah.
So they need the Dragons to lose one.
Yeah. But Dragons for and against terrible.
Awful.
So if they drop one, I think the Knights are probably the team that could get 8th.
Okay.
Because the Broncos win this week, then next week they're playing Melbourne, and I think Melbourne's going to play all their players next week. So you'd imagine going into the semis, you don't want to, if they get rolled this week, Melbourne, by Cowboys, which it looks like, you don't want to be losing 2 in a row going into the semis.
Just a matter of interest too, if the Dragons do lose this week, and most people are expecting them to win against Parramatta.
Oh, we've both tipped the Eels.
Well, they're certainly worthy of being nuisance value, Parramatta. If the Dragons lose, the winner of Dolphins Brisbane goes into the 8. So
and the Knights play Dolphins
in Brisbane.
Knights play Dolphins next week.
Yes,
at
in
home.
Newcastle.
Yeah.
Yep. So there's a little bit to play out yet. Now, teams out of the finals picture. Who's it looking bright for? I just did the podcast with Gus. He just said Lachlan Galvin's the best teenage football he's ever seen.
Better than this bloke?
Yep.
I wouldn't say.
Well, he said, in fairness, he said that very different players at the respective stages of your career. He's running a team. I know he's wearing 6. He's playing halfback. He's touching the ball 4 times per set all over the field. It's amazing to watch. Amazing to watch.
The first game I watched him live, where I really just watched him off the ball, was against the Knights up there. And I was just blown away. Watching him off the ball, organising everyone, pushing players around. Far out, what a player.
It's important they do some work around him because it could all be for nothing.
Yeah. Gus also made the point that if you were to play a kid like him in his first year in this Tigers team, it could have a detrimental effect on him going forward, but he doesn't think that's going to happen. He's such a resilient kid. I mean, he played with a broken hand.
I think next year's important. I think everyone gets a 12-month reprieve. So next year's going to be important. They just work you out a bit better.
Did you find it your second year?
Well, yeah, mate, I come through in a good club.
Yeah.
Well, we went from semis to grand final to winning a grand final. So, like, for my path was a lot easier than what he's doing.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's going to be very important. The second year, they talk about second-year syndrome. It's not so much you go backwards or lose confidence, it's everyone else learns what you do.
Yeah.
It just understands you. They've had 12 months to work you out. So you'll notice that they'll understand him more, and that's where Jerome's going to help. Happy needs to be better, like so.
So out of the teams out of the 8, I think the Tigers are the team most likely to improve the most.
Okay.
Well, I think Jerome will make a huge difference. Obviously, you know, training's a problem there. From a point of view of they've just been run down so many times. Their discipline was awful. I think they went about 15 weeks in a row or 15 games where they got people sin bin every week.
They had the most sin bins in the comp by quite.
Like by far, like
So
it was laughable.
There's
at
a
one
Pacific
stage.
Cup at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So Jerome will play in that till around November. So Jerome's got a big decision to make. Does he go, look, instead of having 6 or 8 weeks off, I'm going to have 4?
Well, Stephen did that. Stephen did something similar at Canterbury. Yeah, he went back early.
So what percentage chance Tigers of improving to maybe make the finals? Very hard to predict this far out.
No, I don't think the finals.
No, I don't think finals next year.
Who else is going? Taruva?
Taruva's
I don't
We're talking about Kobe Hetherington this week.
Right.
He's a good player.
He would be a sensational
You know
signing
what?
for the Tigers.
He would be perfect for them.
Perfect.
Yeah,
They
great
need a few of
defender,
him.
cleans all that stuff up. He's got really good skills.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good player.
They need 3 Kobe
They don't
Hetheringtons.
use him. They don't use him, I think, smartly.
I thought he was an origin chance this year, Kobe Hetherington, the way he's been playing. Parramatta, well, changes afoot there. New coaching staff. Nathan Brown's back as assistant coach.
Yeah.
Sam Mower and Scott Wisemantle, who I didn't
Wisey.
I didn't realise
Really?
I didn't realise he played league.
Yeah, he played league.
But he's been in the rugby setup
Yeah.
for quite some time. He's coming as assistant
Scott
coach to Jason
Wisemantle.
Riles.
I used to play Scott Wisemantle as a kid.
Yeah,
With
right.
the Fairfield Pats.
Good
He has a gun, played for Parramatta, all their junior rep teams, which they were very successful in the day.
Yep.
Lives up at Lennox Head, up that way. And
Not anymore.
he's actually coached all over the world.
Yeah.
All over the world.
Him and Eddie were really thick. And he went to Japan with Eddie Jones. He went to England with Eddie Jones, came back and worked with the Wallabies with Eddie.
So he would have worked with
Rolsey.
Jason Rolls over in England.
Okay, yeah, that's where he would have worked with him.
Yeah. So that's the
He's
new
good.
coaching
He's
setup.
a good mind.
They've signed Yongi from Penrith.
The fullback.
The fullback.
So he'll play fullback. I understand Gutho may be playing lock.
That's what they're saying, yeah. I think the coach sees him as a 13 or a number 9.
Number 9 or interchange 14, which it won't affect Gutho. He's selfless, club first, team first.
Gee, you find it hard to see Gutho coming off the bench.
You got your salary cap wrong though if you're paying. Like, everyone's got their own lunch they've got to eat. So at the end of the day, they've got a salary cap, and this is what it looks like. To be paying someone, what's Gutho on, $850? Then you're missing out somewhere else.
Gutho might not be at Parramatta next year.
St George?
They want him.
I heard St George for him and Reg.
I don't know about Campbell Gillard, but I know St George are keen. And given what you mentioned with the salary cap, if they're going to use him in a different role, maybe off the bench, you can't be paying him that amount of money.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
He's a gun.
Yeah. Para?
I'll tell you who was very good this year, Will Penasini. I thought he was their best player. He had he had about a month quiet during the middle of the year, but consistently, I thought he was their best player.
The bloke they've missed is Hopgood.
Yeah. Well, Hopgood comes back. Moses comes back. Moses, Hopgood, Dylan Brown playing a lot of footy together. The dummy half, that's the one.
Yeah.
You've got Brendan Hands and Lussick, who's going to really step up there. That's a position they need to improve in the dummy half.
Zach Lomax.
Zach Lomax.
Fullback Lomax.
They lose the...
How do you think Lomax would go at fullback?
I think he'd love to play fullback.
Well, I think he'd love to. I think he's a better winger.
He's not playing on the wing, mate.
Jeez, I think he'd be a better fullback.
I think he would have said, I'm playing centre. He's been awesome on the wing. He's been awesome on the wing.
Yeah, incredible.
Great fullback.
Like winning games on the wing.
Yeah. How good was he in Origin? Killed it.
First time I've thought about him playing fullback.
He's played before. He played for the Dragons a few games.
A couple of games, yeah. And he actually looked really dangerous. They need some resources in the forwards, Para.
They got rid of their whole forward pack 2 years ago.
That was a terrible move. They haven't recovered from that at all, have they?
Nah, totally agree. Not only they lost 5 forwards, they lost their hooker.
Warriors, lose Fanua Blake, get James Fisher-Harris. Wonder who's going to be their halfback next year.
That's a big question.
Would it be Tamare Martin? Would it be Chanel Harris-Savita? They got, geez, the 5'8".
No, Tamari Martin.
Yeah.
Tamari Martin was awesome.
How old's Tamare?
Well, he's got a year or so, but you've got Luke Metcalf.
Metcalf.
You've got Chanel.
Metcalf's more of a running 5'8".
But a dangerous player.
They missed Metcalf this year.
Massive.
I thought so too. But if you can just go through that year, Tamari was great.
Yeah.
So the question around the Warriors, did they overachieve last year or have they struggled to come up this year? Because if they can get back to the form from last year, I mean, people were tipping them to win the comp this year.
They came in at 95 and they do this every year. They come in, they fire, and you're going, this is happening next year, and then they come down. And it's like my life, just like that.
Yeah, but you're on the upward trajectory now, Andrew.
I reckon watching Sean last year, very few people at his age last year played the way he did. It was pretty incredible last year. And I just don't think he was able to back it up.
Rabbit.
Do you think in our lifetime the Warriors will win a comp?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Might win it next year.
I think they will.
Hurry up. Hurry up, I'm 50 now.
you know where they suffer? They haven't got a very good school system over there. Their feeder system relies a lot on getting good rugby kids, a bit the opposite over here.
Did I read today they're talking about bringing back the under-20s national competition?
Well, that's...
If that comes back...
Under-21s.
Under-21s. That'd be...
So I know they're looking into working a way into making that system better. And if you do that, they'll be winning the comp.
Well, then what happens if...
Now you look at
what happens...
50% of blokes playing at the moment either are born in Auckland or grow up in Auckland.
They got to keep...
Huge percent.
Yeah, so it's a way of...
But they should never miss a Sonny Bill Williams. They should never miss a James Fisher.
So you're saying that's a pathway for them to bring talent into the club and keep it there.
But then what happens when a team's going to come from the South Island, that's a must, playing out of Christchurch, then the talent pool is going to be diluted a little bit more.
It'll be 32 teams.
The pathway needs to be better.
Rabbit.
Don't know. Who's going to play hooker? Damien Cook's gone.
Rabbits will be better.
Halfback.
I don't know if you can just
Lewis Dodd.
I don't know if you can just
Untried.
have Marcus Ellis.
One thing about the English...
Well, Lachlan Ilias, he hasn't gone anywhere yet.
Last 20 years, yeah. The influx of English players, let's go since Adrian Morley. When was that, early 2000s?
Yep.
Other than George Williams, no playmakers from England's really nailed it. Well, have they?
But there haven't been many come out here. Playmakers.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's hardly any playmakers. Where do his legs go?
Wow.
That's an extravagant running.
But I'll be corrected. I can't imagine Wayne Bennett's coached any of them. I mean, if there's anyone who's going to drop an English halfback into a system and make him work, it would be Bennett.
Why wouldn't you keep the same half and 5 as you got now? Why wouldn't you keep coaching Jack White?
Well, they've paid big money for this bloke, Dodd. But I think they've been terrific. They've shown great improvement with those two in the halves, which many people have suggested probably should have been set up at the start.
Jack was good.
Very wholehearted when you just let him play, not think about it.
Do you reckon Jack moved in the forwards? Back row lock?
I played him back row at Origin.
How'd he go?
Oh, look at him.
Tough as anything.
He's a beast.
They should go a lot better next year.
What do you mean he's got a left centre? Isaiah Tass?
Yeah. Well, Campbell Graham's been gone all year.
Yeah.
Campbell, yeah, they've had some bad luck.
Front rowers, they've got Kepi, Davey Wally.
Gee, they've all fallen off.
Yeah.
Well, they've just
that's
fallen off a
long
cliff.
years.
They've signed someone. I know they've signed Ewan Aitken. He's not a front row. Anyhow, but Bennett's going there and he's their biggest acquisition. On the way to the break, another Panther star under an injury cloud, we believe.
While his teammates will enjoy a 3-day stopover in Singapore, Fittler will come straight home. Dr. Nathan Gibbs advising him to have a bone scan to determine the extent of the damage.
It might be a small operation, maybe a little plate.
Felled by a high tackle from Dermott early in the match, Fittler stayed on despite suffering a broken cheekbone. Dermott was merely penalised for a tackle that here would have earned him an early shower and a suspension.
I think you're going to have to look into it because someday someone's going to get hurt pretty serious.
Penrith officials lodged a complaint after an angry response from Panthers fans.
Well, I think everybody shouted straight away, send him off, get him off the field.
He should be sent off for something like that. If one of our players did it, they would have been.
Well, I reckon the Australian Rugby League should do something about it. If they don't, I reckon they're weak.
But it's unlikely any action will be taken, as the international rules have no provision for citing players on video evidence after the game. While British League officials consider the matter closed, Dermott may be dealt with when he takes the field for Wigan against Brisbane in Friday's World Club Championship.
We won't be getting no Christmas cards, but I've set up a few boys from the Broncos to line him up.
Nothing happened to him.
He'd get 12. He'd get more than 12 weeks. That's a 16-weeker.
Mate, I've had a couple of crackers. That and when I got dumped on my head. So the doctor come on and goes, felt around Nathan Gibbs, and I said, "What's happened?" He goes, "Oh no, it's okay." And just played on. I just went on, kept playing.
Did you blow your nose?
And then what happened at the end of it? John Cartwright goes, I said, "Oh mate, it's a bit sore," and he goes, "If you hold your nose,
Don't.
If you hold your nose and blow," and my whole head just went.
Oh no!
Did you have the mumps? You looked really puffy. What would you weigh then?
Very puffy.
You're over $1.
Yeah, that would have been $1.05. No, a bit less.
Geez, Nathan Gibbs was suave back then. I mean, he is suave. Look at him. He looked like he could still play there.
But I did go to Singapore, by the way.
Did you?
Yeah.
I didn't think you could fly with busted cheekbones.
No.
Oh, mate.
That's terrible.
Mate, that's
Look at this. Nothing happened to him.
Oh.
He jumped off the ground.
He got a stern talking to by old mate. That's about it. Wow.
Did it knock you out? Did it
No.
concussion? No?
Not really. I've only ever been concussed like once or twice.
That you believe, that you know
Do you reckon
of.
in the current climate, do you reckon he would have been sin bin?
The bunker would have had to have tipped to the referee. Oh, that's a shocker.
Oh, I haven't seen that. That was awful.
What was the other one? Was it Adrian Morley?
No. Moz.
No, Martin McDermott.
No.
Brian McDermott.
Barry Mack got Ciro.
Yeah, that was the first tackle of the test, wasn't it?
So, no, that was against Wigan.
That was Kernsey.
That was Robbie Kearns.
Moz got him. Was it 7 seconds?
Yeah.
Or something?
That was the one I meant.
Poor
Yeah.
old Kearnsey's cold before he eats a cigarette.
Yeah.
Mate, the worst one
So Brian
is Barry.
McDermott hit
No,
Barry. Fuck, what was I saying, Brian? Who's he?
Barry.
He's the coach.
And a great fella. He's one of those blokes that he's a nature's gentleman on the field. He was the biggest psycho.
He's a commentator now, isn't he?
Yeah. Great fella. He hit Ciro with this elbow.
This might be the one I'm thinking of, yeah.
That was at Central Park. So
At
we're
Central Park.
playing him in a game, Wigan. And the Australian team was off a dropout, I think. Yeah, sent
He
it
was
down.
intimidating too. Barry one eye. I don't know how he lost it.
He was blind, yeah.
So he would take it out. He would take his eye out. Every time I see him in England now, I go, mate, Ciro wants his teeth back. Shut up, you cheeky little boy.
They had a brutal pack, hey? Was Kevin Ward?
Kevin Ward's a bit before that.
No, Kevin Ware. I think one of his last years was 87. So he played in that grand final. He flew over for the grand final, got there late and killed it.
We played one of the early 2000s. We're playing a test. I don't know where it was. Anyway, walk into a scrum and Barry goes to Bedsy. You cheeky swearing. I'm going to get you. Poor old Beds. Like that. So I went up. Our front rowers were Steve-O and Jason Stevens and Robbie Kearns. I went to Steve-O and went, mate, your job's to look after it. Steve-O went white. And to Barry's credit, after the game, I'm standing with Beds. He comes up and he goes, just want to apologise. I had to do something to get you off your game. Bedsy was still white.
So the bloke who elbowed me was Martin Dermott.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They used to chant, when he played for Wigan, the crowd used to chant, Barry's going to get you.
We should put together for next week, here's your homework, put together the most lethal English pack. Well, they've had some dead set butchers play for Great Britain over the years. My God. Well, should I hand the stage to Baz Luhrmann, the producer, for his brand new segment, My Heroes.
Okay, we're going back in time to one of the past, well, immortal. Without Wally Lewis, the State of Origin, what it is.
He's the greatest.
He made State of Origin.
He was the gun.
So anyway, I was talking to Fatty about Wally, always asking questions. And he goes, mate, we're playing an Origin this night. And he said, Wally, at a scrum, just goes, hey, Fatty, they're rushing me. They're rushing me from outside. What we're going to do, next time we get the ball, once you're inside, you're going to run inside by one of their players. And he goes, Gino, just give me an extra 5 metres depth and get about 5 metres wider. So anyway, Wally gets the ball and he goes, Fatty, inside. And he goes like that. And Fatty said he actually had his hands on the ball. And Fatty said, I've got my hands on the ball and I'm charging. And he said, then I haven't got the ball. He said, all of a sudden there's this whoosh. And he said he throws this 30-metre cutout that hits Gino on the chest. And Gino scores. And he said, they're celebrating. He said, Fatty, he said, every one of the team looked at each other and went, what was that? But like that, during a game, for him to adjust and say, oh, they're rushing me, I need this, I need that, you do this, you do that. Mate, the king.
The first Origin I ever went to, I was 12, and there was the game at the SCG. Poured rain, was awful. The game where Greg Dowling scored the try off the post.
Look how quick he was.
And the king, what he did was, well, there's the shot of Noel Gallagher trying to do a dropout in the stinking mud, and he couldn't kick it.
Yeah.
So Wally just said to the referee, he said, like, basically, look over there. And then Wally just punted it.
Didn't drop kick it.
Didn't drop kick it.
Another one with Wally, I asked Wayne Bennett when he was coaching the Australian team, I said, mate, sitting down, we were having lunch, and I said, mate, what was Wally's best attribute? You coach Wally. And he goes, and he thought about it, he goes, give me till tomorrow. So I'm like, oh. So next day we're having breakfast, he comes up and sits down, he goes, you know Wally's greatest attribute? I said, what's that? He goes, whenever he wanted the ball, he got it. So I'm like, oh. So then I asked Wally, I said, mate, Wayne Bennett said this about you, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, well, what I used to do, so imagine there's a field like a rectangle. Wally said he used to just parole the rectangle within the rectangle. And he said, I'd wait. And you think about the Origins, he wouldn't touch the ball sometimes for 5 minutes. But he said, whenever I saw something, I'd just strike. Get them on short sides or get them on long side. And from that conversation, I was still playing at the time, from that conversation, it changed the way I actually played. So then I started like patrolling that area.
Yeah, right.
And then, playing more conservative. But then after that conversation, I started playing short sides more instead of playing long sides. Just from that conversation with Wayne, Tiny, and then talking to Wally about it.
I would have thought the King's greatest attribute was just his sheer will.
But you know what, Wally, he played at 100 kilos.
Yeah, he's a big man.
Big man.
Yeah. He played lock in the first Origin.
But this is before weights and that sort of stuff. Like, think about now, he would probably be like would you say a Ryan Madison build? Like Wally's 6 foot, over 6 foot.
Yeah.
And just one of the great men too.
Well, maybe, without him, is Origin what it is today?
Well, I played Wally in his last Origin. I played opposite Wally in his last Origin.
How was that?
Oh, how do you reckon? So we're playing it at, wasn't Suncorp, of course.
Lang Park.
Lang Park.
Oh, he's the king for the Gold Coast.
I've kicked a ball early and Chris John scored. I'm thinking, this is it. This is going to be the moment of my life. I'm going to get to beat the king, and they ended up beating us. But I went to him after the game and said, do you want to swap jumpers? He said, no, not this one, mate. I might have to keep this one.
Yeah. I just love listening to those old stories. That story
Absolutely.
Fatty tells me, every time I think about it, I get goosebumps.
And Fatty has talked about Origin until he's blue in the face his whole life. He'll never not talk about the king.
Really?
Well, he will talk about the king till till his last breath. He loves him so much. But they all love him.
Yeah.
They all love him. I mean, the king retired in '92. He's still the king.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Joey.
He's a man.
So send in your socials.
Send in your recommendations or suggestions
Who
on
do
the
you want to
socials.
hear a story about? Who'd be a good one from your like say a Penrith, would an MG be a good one?
Greg Alexander.
You go back, well, yeah, Brandy. Brandy's got a great story. Even before that, you go into someone like, well, a Royce.
Royce, yeah.
You know, there's blokes there, you know, just prior to that, Jeff Gerard,
Hey,
Tim Sheen.
why don't we get Royce on? Royce will come on. Talk about the walk.
Royce is a gun.
Royce finished with that grand final.
Yeah, 2 tries.
2 tries is the only time he's ever scored
Oh, mate, 2 tries. Never would have scored 2 tries.
When you talk about adrenaline, when he scores that try, does Scott Gale do the short drop out?
Yep.
MG, yeah.
Royce with those little pig trotter legs, like his legs are that high off the ground, just screaming.
Mate, if you see the first try, so the
He goes
first
over the top of Lazo.
over the top of him, literally runs over him. Lazo would have been $120 at the time.
Were you aware that when he went over Lazo during that game?
Well, it happened quick. Like, got to Royce, and most of the time he's getting to Royce, you're not seeing much. Like, he's burrowing in or getting rid of the ball early.
Spun.
That was his job. Yeah, he spun, just went straight over him.
What isn't remembered a lot about that year is that he spent a lot of the year in reserve grade, didn't he?
That last
During
game.
that 91.
Did he?
Yeah, Ben was hooker.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
No, Ben was a really good, great hooker. It was one of the first times where, a bit like Benny Elias, like a
Playing like
halfback playing hooker.
Royce. Let's get Royce. Let's talk about the games this week. Big schedule of NRL and NRLW here on 9. Cowboys versus Storm, 11 being rested for Craig Bellamy, yet they're still a reasonable side. I've seen Grant Anderson's playing halfback and Wishart's playing hooker.
Yeah, I looked at the bench. I didn't even know some of the bench.
Yeah.
So maybe one of them is a hooker and Wishart plays at halfback. It was interesting.
Nane and Taumalolo both back from injury for North Queensland, so largely at full strength on the eve of the finals. The Cowboys, gee, they're a dangerous team. I know they've got issues with defence, but if they click,
Geez, this bloke's a good player. Nane,
How good is he?
great player.
Be interesting if he brings Townsend back in for the semis.
Mate, Jake Clifford was absolutely
good was he?
sensational. Sensational.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't give him any points in the Freddy the Eighth medal, actually.
Who did they play last week? Or they have the bye last week?
That was the week before.
The week before, it was up in Townsville. They played
Yeah.
Canberra, didn't they?
Well, a couple, mate. He's had, in the 5 games I reckon he's played recently, he killed it against the Roosters, killed it against Penrith. The game you're talking about against who was the one up there? Canterbury, who no one else has beaten. It's going good.
Panthers, Souths, Friday night footy from Bluebet Stadium, Penrith. Panthers lost 2 in a row. They've been sloppy the last month. Can they correct the record here?
Penrith? Yeah, Penrith win.
They get their hooker back.
Yep.
Yeah, they miss him, don't they? Mitch Kenny.
Taruva goes back into the wing. Be interesting how he reacts to being dropped.
Would they give Cleary, like, half a game
No, he's not
last
on-
week?
he's not-
No, not this week, next week.
Yeah, probably. All depends what his injury's like.
Jack Cole got hurt in the New South Wales Cup last
Hit
week.
his knee.
It was
He's
a
gone for the-
hip drop, I'm told.
He did his ACL, didn't he?
Was it ACL?
I think he's done his ACL.
Ugh.
Yuck.
Not good.
Schneider did okay.
Yeah.
They just hammered him.
Didn't they?
Canberra. I think at one
He
stage.
played 9 games for them.
I think at one stage, I think they were about 3/4 of the way through the first half. I don't think Jerome had made a tackle. They just ran straight at him the whole time.
What about Tarpany? Like back when we played, the big blokes, some were cumbersome, you know. Tarpany's that big, but he's got the agility of it.
Well, that was Sonny.
Sonny Bill.
That's why Sonny was so different. He'd run at you like a front row and then sidestep in you like a centre.
He was a freak of nature, that lad.
Yeah, pretty good.
Cronulla have won 4 in a row now, and they were pretty good against the
They were
Dragons.
really good.
And they are in 3rd position, and no one is talking about them.
Can we have a hashtag? Keep running Braille. Brails.
That's too many letters.
Brails. Run Brails.
Run, Brayley, run.
Yeah. When he runs, when Nico and Tricky Trindle, when Trindle was out, he took it upon himself to run more out of dummy half and play a bit of first receiver.
It would help
Looks
too.
a totally different player.
Because if you keep them tight, and if you can keep them tight, a little bit tighter around the ruck, it gives Nico more room, gives them more room on the edges. Like, cause they play that expansive where he runs across the field and uses everyone up, and it's wonderful to watch. But unless you've got your markers staying still, it makes it really hard.
I've got a question for you both. I know their record the last 2 years in finals is terrible. Why can't they win the comp this year?
Well, the question marks is, can they win a big game? To get the semis, you've got to find another gear. That's the question mark. Can they find that next gear?
Kailiro,
Played good last week.
Come on.
it's going good. But that's what I mean. You got to find that next level. Mulatalo, he's a big game player.
He's not playing this week.
No, he was out last week.
Knee soreness?
But he's a big game player. When I looked at their bench, they've had they've got a consistent team they've had for a couple of years, like Royce Hunt, Hamlin,
Look at the
Uwelli.
size of their pack. My
What did Gal say?
God.
Royce Hunt
200.
bench presses over 200 kilo. They said in the wrestling room no one gets near him.
Mate, their bench
He turned
is
on someone on the
unbelievable.
weekend. Who did he turn on? He turned on the fullback, Sloan.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And Sloan shaped up to him.
That's because he
mate.
knew he couldn't get
Because
it.
they can't punch.
Roosters Raiders from Allianz Stadium. Canberra with a victory over Penrith.
Do you like Angus with his hair cut short?
Terrible.
Not as good as Long.
I've only just got used to Dylan Edwards with the crop top.
It took a while, didn't it? It was
It
very
looked
white.
really
You know
bad.
why? People with white heads.
Yeah.
It takes a while.
Yeah. Do you feel
Really
like you need to
white
get a bit
scalp.
of sun on the scalp?
Yeah, before you come and unveil it.
I think there'll be a stack of points here.
They're flying the Roosters.
Suolihi's nerve damage. It's a worry. Here he
The,
is, doing machinery. Did he score 3 on the weekend?
Yep. They named Jennings in the centres. Be interesting is...
Nwanga Netawasi.
Yes.
Will he come in?
Nwanga
Will he make
Netawasi.
his debut?
Pronounce it before.
What
Sorry,
was
Mark.
one letter off?
Say it again.
Nwanga Netawasi. So, you know, Wonga Blake, right?
Yeah.
Always remember the Wonga, because there's a Wonga, W-A-Q-A, Nitawasi. Nah, Wonga Nitawasi.
Wonga Nitawasi.
If he plays on Sunday, Joey, you'll have to really get his name right. Before
I've
we go,
I've spoken to him a few times about it. He just giggles.
He's ripped, isn't he?
Oh, I should
He's a big dude. He's
so
big.
rude. You see both with the dense muscle. He's just huge. Looking forward to watching him play.
Good athlete.
Oh, amazing athlete.
Sevens rugby. I mean, you've got to have that incredible endurance.
Do you think he'll play?
No, I'm just wondering whether whether they might.
Well, the wild card is Billy Smith. He's going to be back soon.
But he's not named.
No, he's not named.
No. So
Maybe
they've named
Charlie could play.
Jennings.
I was with Charlie the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What, at the gym or just out and about?
Down the beach.
Hey, before we go, let's have a look at the Freddy the Eighth medal leaderboard. Let's bring that up here. Now, the boys this week in unanimous agreement that Kalen Ponga was the player of the week. 2 for Freddie to Joe Tarpany, 1 to Will Kennedy. Lachlan Galvin, 2 points for Joey. Joe Tarpany, 1.
Geez, we missed 6 weeks there. Jerome Hughes, he'd be flying if we didn't miss all those weeks.
I think Jerome Hughes is going to win the Dally M.
He's killed it this year.
He deserves it.
So good.
So there you have it. That's where we're at. All right, boys. Big weekend of footy coming up. Great to see you again. North Queensland, Melbourne tomorrow, live and free on 9 to kick it all off. And then the NRLW, it's been really, really good footy this year.
Knights need to lift.
Yeah. Jessie Southwell hasn't been picked.
Yeah, she had the head knock. I don't know if she's playing.
She's on the extended bench.
Caitlin Johnson-Green, geez, they've missed her up front.
She's a gun.
I don't think she's playing it.
She's gone. Medial.
She's gone.
Yeah.
All the footy action here on 9. See you next week.
You win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
This year, NRL on 9 is your one-stop shop for all footy.
That's right, Freddie. Not about the highlights. Action. 7 days a week.
Billy and Gus podcast, get that on your drive on the way home. Immortal Behaviour. Grab a seat on the couch for that. And, of course, my favourite, Freddy the Eighth.
The best footy brains, the biggest games.
Don't trust the algorithm. Subscribe to NRL on 9 and get all your entertainment there.